Hi, my name is Solomon, and in this second part of our IRROS series, I will talk to you about the Interbotix ROS Core repository. Specifically, I'll be focusing on the structure of the repository. So if you go in your browser to github.com/interbotix/interbotix ROS Core, this is the lower level repository that I'm looking at. So the first thing you'll see in the overview section is this graphic, which I've gone over in our first video. And whatever is highlighted in yellow, that is the active repository, meaning that's the one we're currently looking at. So let's go over here. The layout starts out with this directory here. Pretty much this repository is responsible for housing ROS wrappers for each type of actuator that we use at Interbotix. So currently we only have two of them here. And the one, this one here, Interbotix ROS UX arms, that is ROS wrappers used to control the actuators in the XARM 5, 6, and 7 created by UFactory. So literally this is just taking the XARM API and XARM messages ROS packages that were developed by UFactory and sticking them in this directory. And you can see more of their ROS packages in their repository. They also have a GitHub for that. The reason that I'm splitting it up here, though, is because the way that UFactory created their ROS packages is, of course, not the same way that fits with the IRROS standard. So this is simply more of a way of testing out the IRROS standard to see if we can integrate the UFactory arm within our own structure. So we have the lower level ROS packages here that are used to control the actuators. So they're located here. Okay. But then we have in this directory the ROS wrapper used to control Dynamixel servos, specifically ones in Protocol 2. So if you click on that, the Interbotix XS SDK is the specific ROS wrapper that I created from scratch, and it builds on top of a C++ API created by Robotics called the Dynamixel Workbench Toolbox, and that's what you can see here. So this, if you click on it, this is a ROS package that Robotics created, the C++ API, and you can see that on in their repository. And then this is the ROS wrapper I specifically created. So if you click into that, you'll see documentation on how to interface with the ROS package. You just look at the README, and it talks about the publishers that the ROS wrapper has, the subscriber topics, the services, as well as how to use it. So something to note is that the Interbotix ROS Core repository isn't something that is meant to be used by itself. It's meant to be used in conjunction with one of the higher level, like the robot level repository. So either the Interbotix ROS Rovers repository or the Interbotix ROS Manipulators repository, but it itself is not meant to be, you're not supposed to use it by itself. Something else I wanted to discuss is that there's a CATKIN IGNORE file, which you can see in this directory over here. And if you go to the Interbotix ROS XS series directory, you'll see another one here. So what does the CATKIN IGNORE file do? Simply put, when you CATKIN make in your workspace, in your CATKIN workspace, so what a CATKIN IGNORE file does is it tells the CATKIN make command to ignore any ROS packages and their dependencies, or in their in the current directory, which is this one, or in any directory below that. So since we have different actuators in this repository, let's say I only was using a Dynamixel based actuator and I wasn't using a UFactory based actuator. So I would remove the CATKIN IGNORE file in this directory, but I would keep the one in the UX arms directory there so that I didn't have to compile all that and install all the dependencies for that one. And this isn't something you would have to do yourself manually to remove the CATKIN IGNORE files. It's actually done automatically using an installation script that I wrote, and that's specific for each robotic platform, which we'll get to more in the third video. All right, so that's it for this second video. I'll see you in the third one.